This is Real Kids Flicks. I'm Sylvia Ewing.
And I'm Rahel Ross, and we're here to help families find out what movies are appropriate for your children.
This is the real deal, the information you've been waiting for. Moms on Movies. Thanks for watching. There is a support group for just about everyone these days. Now, I may need to start a new one, a club for we remaining few humanoids who just don't get Harry Potter. The plot begins with our heroes spying on activities at a spooky shop in London, a store which turns out to be a portal that will threaten the very castle walls of their university. This time around, Harry brings a certain level of notoriety as the chosen one. Now, there are a few moments of magic and wonder as Harry and his best friends return to Hogwarts for another year of honing their skills in casting spells and potion making. A scene in a school supply store is particularly inspired, with clever products and potions on display, and the scenes of the Quidditch matches are also energetic and thrilling. Maggie Smith is wonderful in her role, and the three young stars turn in solid performances. They seem comfortable and they are engaging, showing signs of growing up together, growing up on the set, so to speak. But this is also a time when they're on the cusp of adulthood and old friends look at each other with fresh eyes. There's so much kissing and cuddling in dark corners, it reminds me of Paris in spring. Dumbledore describes it best when he says, "Oh, to be young again and to feel love's keen sting." If it were not such a beloved franchise, the filmmakers could not get away with what seems to be a messy, disjointed adaptation of J.K. Rowling's book. Many of the visuals are derivative of other movies, and parents may recognize the trio of villains swooping from the sky from the Superman movies, and the magic cupboard has been better portrayed in at least two other films. The most frightening scene of the movie is straight from Tolkien, but that may or may not matter to die-hard fans. Rahel, what do you think about this movie?
Well, Sylvia, I like Harry Potter, and I've liked all the Harry Potter films. I think this falls into the tradition of the movies that have been made from the books. But I will say, I was speaking to my son, who is a die-hard Harry Potter fan and who's read all of the books, and he let me know that this movie leaves out a lot of really important information that the book has that ties up what's going on between the characters, and that might be one of the reasons why you found holes and didn't think that it added up.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, and even though this is a franchise film, I think you should be able to walk into it for the first time and enjoy it and know what's going on. And I had a sense of kind of sloppy screenwriting and the urge to finish this up so you can move on to the next movie. And Rahel, as a parent, I've seen enough crabby teenagers with angst over boyfriends and girlfriends. I don't need to see that in the movies.
Well, I understand what you're saying because I'm in the same place, but I do know that kids really relate to this because it goes from Harry Potter being a young lad to Harry Potter being a teenager with all of his friends, and those emotions are so real. I think the kids can really relate to this. So for that reason, I think this film is appropriate for kids 12 years and older, and I give this film a B.
As a guide for parents, here's the real deal about Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. There is no sex or nudity. A little bit of kissing. Ron and Harry both kiss girls. There is mild profanity. Words such as bloody hell and Dragon Balls are used. Now, alcohol is used by adults who offer to share it with students. There is some violence, and the effects are sometimes too graphic. For example, when a girl is tossed in the air and taken for dead. There are evil forces trying to do harm, fight scenes, causing blood and pain, and images of scary golem-like creatures trying to drown Harry. The tone of the movie is more solemn and dark than it needs to be. I think Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince from Warner Brothers is appropriate for children 12 years and older, and I give this film a C.
That's the take on Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince from Real Kids Flicks. Up is a beautiful and magical story about love, friendship, commitment, and the bonds that hold relationships together. Ed Asner is the voice of Carl Fredricksen, a 78-year-old balloon salesman who has lost his wife Ellie and is about to lose his home. Carl has become a recluse. His life has become nothing more than a sad and lonely existence, and as Carl is being forced to move to a retirement home, he decides to fight the system. He ties thousands of balloons to his house in order to fulfill a dream of Ellie and his to fly to South America. Up forces us to look at the complexities of life as one grows old, and at the same time focuses on the sadness of an 8-year-old boy who just doesn't fit in. Russell is the awkward, geeky, and plump neighborhood kid who has a difficult and somewhat non-existent relationship with his father. And Russell doesn't fit into Carl's plans of finding paradise, and Russell's only goal is to get one more Junior Wilderness Explorer badge for assisting the elderly. But the adventures that they share together create a strong bond of friendship and trust between them. This animated film is not cartoonish. The characters represent people who experience joy and sorrow, fear and frustration, loneliness and wonder. And there is depth to the characters. In the end, Carl and Russell learn that the most important things in life are friendship, trust, and acceptance. There are themes in this movie that young viewers may not understand, such as Ellie's inability to have children, the death of Ellie, and the complexity of elderly life. Sylvia, what did you think of Up?
I love this movie. The relationship between Carl and Ellie was one of the most remarkable love stories I've seen in years. And we got perspectives from people that we usually don't hear from, the perspective of the elderly, perspective of youth, and in some ways, a dog's view of life.
Well, yes, and there were fun dogs and there were vicious dogs. And so I do want to make a point that some of those dogs were scary, they were vicious, and they were out to kill Carl and Russell. So there's a little bit of element of violence in it, but it is a cartoon, so it sort of dissipates it.
Well, and we've seen this type of dog before, this type of creature in The Lion King, and there's a little bit of a fascist aspect to it. But the dogs were also funny. They used these voice changers that really, I think, were one of the most humorous aspects of the film. In the end, the way that we came to know Carl and all of the characters and to care about them, I thought was beautifully done, and the storytelling was spectacular.
I do agree, and one of the aspects of this picture is that it is another 3D movie, which is the wave of the future. A lot of
from the past in many ways.
From the past, and now it's coming into the future with new kinds of 3D glasses. But I must admit, I took my glasses off while watching it, and I thought the color was better without the 3D.
Because you're a rebel.
I am.
You're a rebel. I think this film is appropriate for kids 8 years and older, and I give Up an A. Rahil, why don't you fill out the report card for this movie?
As a guide for parents, here's the real deal about Up. There is no sex or nudity. There is no objectionable language. There is some violence. There were images of an injured bird, vicious dogs showing their teeth, and dogs trying to kill Russell and Carl. Also, Carl's house was set on fire. This film presents a positive tone for children, and I think that Up from Disney Pixar is appropriate for children 7 years and older. I give this film an A.
That's the take on Up from Real Kids Flicks.